Now that we've got the player and enemy classes developed, we're going to initialize Pygame, which sets it up. Okay, here we have display, set mode, screen width, screen height. Easy enough. So that's the screen right here. So it represents the screen. We're going to add enemy. We're creating a custom event. So every time the timer goes 250 milliseconds, which means it happens 4 times every second. Okay, 250 milliseconds is 250 one-thousandths of a second. Every 250 milliseconds, we add an enemy, which triggers this Pygame user event. So we're sending a signal. This is us setting a timer. It says 4 times a second. We're going to send a signal called add enemy to Pygame. And that's going to trigger the enemy to be added in that spot. So here we're creating an instance of the player class. Okay. And then we are creating a couple of groups. Sprite groups in Pygame. Again, this is a pygame.sprite.group. It's a class that allows us to put all of our sprites into groups. And then it allows us to refer to those sprites by the group so that we can do all the same things to all the sprites. So we have a sprite group called enemies, and we have a sprite group called all sprites that includes both the enemies and the player. And you can see here, we're adding the player sprite to all sprites. We set a value of running to true so that we can create a while true game loop here. And we're creating the Pygame clock, which is what we're going to use at the end of the game loop to pause momentarily. Okay, so now, here we go, the game loop, which is going to follow this set of events. Ready? So for each event in Pygame.event, we're checking for input. Do we have a key down? If the key is escape, then we turn running to false. So we can quit the game by pressing escape. And if event type is quit, we set running to false, meaning if we close the window, the running turns to false. Okay, and there it is. It's looking for that signal. It's saying, do we have an add enemy event happening? If we do, it says new enemy equals enemy, and it adds enemy to all sprites and adds new enemy to the enemies group. This part where it appears over here is taken care of because it's in the initialization method that it's going to appear right over here somewhere. So that's taken care of. And what it does each time it updates is taken care of. So all we have to do to add an enemy is just these things. Okay, so the other pressed keys now get put into this collection. And now we're calling player.update. We're updating the player sprite using pressed keys as an argument. Then we update all of the enemies. And now we're going to start drawing the screen in memory. We're filling the screen with this blue color. Next, and it's just like doing a painting. So you always start with the background, then you layer the sprites on top of it. If you don't do it in that order, it layers whatever you put on next over the other thing. So you always want to start with the background and then move to the foreground. So for entity in all sprites, so for each thing in all sprites, we are going to blit the surface at the location of the rectangle. Okay, so you're going to draw what it looks like at the location of where it is basically what that's saying. So we fill the screen, we blit the sprites, all sprites onto the screen. Next, we're checking for collisions here. And basically, what we want to know is, has the player collided with anything from the enemy's group? So in one line of code, this allows us, Pygame allows us to check to see if the player is touching any enemies. It's really a big deal, you guys, because if you didn't have this, you would have to calculate by hand the location and the size of the player and each enemy and do some mathematical formula to see if they're touching each other for each combination of sprites in the game. This way I can just say, hey, is the player touching an enemy? And it just takes care of it for me. Big benefit there. So if the player is touching a sprite, player is killed and running turns to false. It's kind of a boring way to end the game. Obviously, we might want to have multiple lives. We might want to have some explosions or something exciting happen. But for the window just to close is kind of boring. So this is where you would put the what do we do when the game ends, or what do we do when the player dies? So the next thing, pygame.display.flip. That's it. It's the flip book. So we're just taking the page that we drew in memory and bringing it to the front. And here it is, clock tick 30. Okay, this makes sure that this happens 30 times per second. That's what clock tick means. So this will be 30 game loops per second, or 30 frames per second. A higher number is going to be faster, a lower number is going to be slower. A faster number also will have a smoother animation. But watch what happens if I set this to 100. Better get ready. The game becomes a little more difficult. So that's how we control, that's one of the ways we can control the speed of the game. Obviously, I could speed up the game clock, and then I could slow down the movement rates of the missiles and the player if I wanted to. So there's balances, there's different ways that you could do this. If I wanted to also, I could make the enemies appear more quickly, right? If I say every 10 milliseconds add an enemy, then the game becomes more difficult. So those things, there's different things that you can do to balance the difficulty of your game. So once you create the game and the logic and things like that, you sort of want to play test it and see, oh, is this too hard? Is it too easy? And then you start thinking about things like, how can I make this more difficult over time, right? So if I add a few things, now in this case, I've got a score variable. Okay, so every time a missile flies off screen and it dies, I add 1 to my score. And then I'm using this score to increase the speed of the missiles. So every time I get a point, the next missile gets spawned a little faster. So now the game actually becomes more difficult over time. So if I run this, same game, but now I've got a little score here, and you can see my score is going up. It takes a while for it to get actually difficult. You don't want the difficulty to get too high too fast, or else people don't get hooked on the game. What gets people hooked is having a few easy victories. But you can see they're starting to speed up now. You could also save the high scores pretty easily when the game ends using pickle, right? You could keep the high scores in an array and save that array in a pickle file. So there's a lot of stuff that we've learned that's applicable here. Another thing, I started thinking about what else would make this game more interesting. And I started playing around with some other code that I found online. And I got the idea that what if we had a missile enemy that could follow the player, right? So I got that idea. And obviously I turned off the collisions. So then I sort of added a different kind of missile. So I have the player, and I have the enemy, and then I have an enemy too. So I created 2 different kinds of enemies in this one. And so I've got the regular missiles here, and then I've got these other ones that spawn that are a real pain because all you can do is run away from them and they just keep chasing you. It's just sort of like the zombies in The Walking Dead, right? They're slow, but they're really annoying. And eventually they're going to catch up with you. so, um, so just some things like that's a simple way that I can change that game. I can kind of play with the mechanics and the difficulty a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting. But what I'm going to show you on um, on Wednesday is how do we take that game template, that code, and actually make it a completely different game. And you'll be surprised at how easy it is once you have that starter code, because there's so many games that use that same mechanic with just some minor tweaks. If you were to walk into an arcade in like 1984, I can still smell the arcade smell. I love arcades. So nostalgic for me. If you were walking to an arcade in 1984, what you would see is there's about 5 different games out there. All of them just have different sprites and slightly different things going on. So there's the maze game, there's the side scroller, there's the platformer. Like they're all the same. It's really the same game. But it's just slightly different things, right? You got Super Mario Brothers, or the original Mario Brothers game was just one screen, some platforms, you're jumping around on turtles, right? That was the original Mario Brothers. That's the same game as Donkey Kong. That's the same game as Joust. Those are all the same game. One screen, platforms. You got a gravity effect going on. It's not that hard. If you think about it, it's just simple math. And so, they're all kind of the same thing, but you can do a lot. So you can, by changing up the sprites and changing up some of the game mechanics and things like that, you can actually do some fun things. So that's what we're going to work on Wednesday. For today, I would recommend trying to install Pygame, download some images, trying to get the images to be the right size and load. Those are some things to work on for now. And then on Wednesday, we'll wrap it up. I'll show you actually how to modify that code, that base code, which, by the way, is downloadable on Canvas. I'll show you how to modify that to make a different game. So that is it for today.